We welcome, and we have a couple issues that we want to cover before we give you a chance to ask any questions you might have. But I want to start by acknowledging that it's Mother's Day on Sunday, and I have two very special mothers with me right now. My mom, they claim that she's responsible for my birth. Thank you very much. She was there, and I'm very grateful to have my mom here on Mother's Day, and my friend Dottie Richardson, whose husband introduced my mom and dad, and therefore it would have been tough to be here without her. That's the point. So thank you for being here. Do you want to put that back up, John? Or you're okay? You need sound, don't you?
Yes.
Come on, we'll put it back. I'll be careful. You happy? We have the Commissioner and Secretary Searles with us, and just wanted to start out by making some important notes about the continuing challenges with flood. As many of you Vermonters know, this water is trying our tenacity, our patience. I'm extraordinarily grateful to all Vermonters for the way that they've dealt with the crisis that we're facing together. Right now, the flood levels at the lake have risen to 103.21 feet, which, as everybody knows by now, is well above flood level. And we are now declaring a state of emergency across those regions of the state, water levels that are rising. We're calling a state of emergency to allow us to bring in additional equipment, particularly in the islands. We're concerned that the islands may well be isolated from vehicle traffic, as well as to help us deal with the crisis. So this is where we are. As you probably know, there have been 595 homes in Vermont that have been damaged. 3 of them have been destroyed entirely. We have road crews and municipal crews working overtime to try and shore up crumbling roads. We have tremendous concern right now about Route 2 and about Route 78, 3-mile stretch of Route 78, as well as many other roads across the state. I just want to remind Vermonters as we face this challenge that since the lake is really, let's put it this way, the mountains and the hills and the rivers and the brooks leading into the lake are serving as a funnel for all the water that continues to fall, we have a ways to travel yet. So I just want to say I'm grateful to all the state highway folks, the municipal highway folks, emergency management folks, Red Cross, volunteer fire departments, police officers, both municipal and state, who are working so hard to help us through this crisis. We're going to stay on top of it, but we have now declared a state of emergency. We're extraordinarily concerned about the islands being isolated from access. And I'll turn it over next to the Secretary and then the Commissioner.
Thank you, Governor. Before we get to the situation at the islands, there's a little bit of good news. We have reopened Route 73 west of Brandon. The Otter Creek was affecting that. And we have Route 129 in Alberg open, one lane. That's because the winds are predominantly from the north today. If they shift around to the south, 129 and Alberg will be closed again. Still closed, Route 36 St. Albans, Route 125 West Addison. The 125 West Addison has been important because it's egress from the ferry crossing, New York State, which is the reason Route 17 was so important. Route 17 remains a minor concern because of the lake waters rising. We have a good fix in there, and it's stable, but we're watching it closely because we may have to add material there. We're also keeping an eye, obviously, on the New York situation as well. Major concerns this morning, Route 2, and the causeway has been completely armored, breakwater, if you will, created on the south side. The wind is coming from the north today, and that's where they're working. So we've got a big job to do the north side. We think that that's going to do the trick in terms of the causeway. Problem is east of the causeway and east of the state park, where water is now completely across the road, 4 to 6 inches at the center line. And so we're putting Jersey barriers in there, and are ready to add some fill, and hopeful that that will do the trick. Got about 10,000 cubic yards of rock have been applied up there at that causeway so far, and more fill will need to be brought in for that area where water crosses the road. Obviously, what we're trying to do is make sure that Route 2 remains a viable transportation link to the islands throughout this, but as the water goes up, of course, we're seeing effects we've never seen before because the water's never been this high. Problem we're most concerned with is up north, Route 78, where, as the governor said, we've got about 3 miles where the water is backed up from the lake into the Missisquoi River. And remember, we're not talking about what we were talking about last week, which was velocity. We're talking about volume now in the lake, and the fact that it's backing up into Missisquoi River at that location. And so the fix there is a little more difficult because without delineation between the river and the asphalt, especially at night, and no guardrails or anything like that, it becomes a safety situation. We're going to try to create delineation. We'll probably have to bring Route 78 down to something less than its normal width in order to do that. But we have crews up there now. Jersey barriers for 3 miles, probably not an option. We just don't have access to that many. So start out with some stakes, reflectorized stakes in the ground to delineate the roadway, and then try to do something with additional fill along that stretch. Obviously, the only thing that's really going to remedy all of this is if the lake starts to come down, and we're still talking about 24 hours or so before a crest is expected. That's the update.
Thank you, Secretary of Service. Commissioner Farn.
Yeah, just very briefly, the rationale behind the declaration by the governor is just a precautionary measure. What it does is it allows us access to medevac resources and also special vehicles should we have to go in and evacuate people from the islands. But it is a precautionary measure at this point, but one that's prudent under these circumstances due to the weather and due to the constant rising level of the lake. So that's the backdrop as to why this is appropriate for the islands. And it is precautionary, and we'd rather be prepared and have the resources available rather than having to scramble to get them.
Thank you. Now, if you all are willing to come up, we're going to talk a little bit about a breakthrough that I'm happy to announce with the Vermont State Police. Yeah. Welcome. I'm happy to announce that the state of Vermont and the Vermont State Troopers Association have reached a contract agreement. I've said many times to my friend down in Wisconsin and throughout the states who are currently waging an assault on collective bargaining rights that in Vermont we find we get more with maple syrup than we do with vinegar. We had a good maple sugaring season this year, and that's evident in this agreement. I want to talk a little about why this is so important to Vermonters. As you know, the state police keep us safe. They keep Vermont one of the safest states in the country. We have the best state police force in the country. I expressed during the campaign my concern that Vermont State Police, particularly at starting wages for new recruits, get paid considerably less than their counterparts and are underpaid, in my judgment. What that means for us is that as a state and as employers, we have difficulty recruiting because of our low starting pay. And if we're successful in recruiting, we have difficulty retaining trained state police. What's the issue? The issue is that our state police start at a wage right now of roughly $14.54 an hour. $14.54 an hour to take a job where you risk your life every single day. folks around us get about 50% more starting pay. Other New England states pay about 50% more on average than Vermonters get paid. So this new agreement will bring it's a 2-year agreement, and the part that's so exciting for me is that it will bring our starting pay closer to $17 an hour. In fact, it will be slightly higher than $17 an hour. That gives us the tools that we need to ensure that we recruit great talent and that we retain great talent once we recruit it. So I just want to thank Mike O'Neill from the Vermont State Troopers Association, the Commissioner, Kate Duffy, who conducted these negotiations for us, for all of your great work, and just say that this is yet another example of how, when working together as a team, not with confrontation, but with respect and dignity, you can get great things done for Vermonters. It also is an agreement that's fiscally responsible, and it balances our tough economic times with the realities of a budget that has no extra money. So I would now like to turn this over first to Kate Duffy, who negotiated the agreement, and then take it from there. Welcome.
Thank you, Governor. Hello, everyone. I just thought I'd highlight a couple of the terms of this agreement. As the Governor stated, it's a 2-year agreement. In the first year, there will be no across-the-board salary increases, and steps will remain frozen for an additional year by adding 1 year to the step date. However, in the second year of the contract, to address the concerns that the Governor has highlighted, we are implementing a single revised pay plan for the Vermont State Police. This is designed to increase the entry level of salaries, but it is also designed to address troopers at the stage of 7 or 8 years in, which is when we've from analyzing the data realizes the key time when we have retention issues. There's also will be a reinstatement in the second year of the holidays of Town Meeting Day, Bennington Battle Day, Washington's birthday, and there will be a reinstatement of time and a half for compensation for holidays of New Year's Day, Memorial Day, July 4th, Labor Day, Veterans Day, Thanksgiving, and Christmas, which unfortunately some of our troopers have to work. So I just want to take a minute to thank Mike O'Neill and the VTA for working with us in a very constructive fashion to tackle a problem that was a joint problem for DPS and for the VTA. And it's nice to know that we can work collaboratively with them through the collective bargaining process to achieve results that I think are good for the state and good for the troopers as well. And with that, I'll turn it over to Mike.
Thank you, Commissioner Duff. Mike O'Neill.
Good morning. Again, I'd like to thank the Governor and his administration for the collaborative effort on this negotiations and the agreement that we reached. It's a very positive step for us to be moving forward and starting to move in a direction where we're addressing a problem that we have faced for a long time. We haven't reached an agreement on a contract that has even moved us in a direction of being competitive with other state police agencies in close to 10 years. So this is a very positive step for us. As they have each said, this meets the needs of both sides. In the first year, we're going to maintain a pay freeze that was initiated in last year's contract. We're also going to maintain parts of the pay cut from last contract. But in the second year, we will start to address these problems. Our members also this year reached an agreement with the legislature where we're going to increase our contribution rate in the retirement system by 1.3%, which will also amount to a pay cut for our members this year. But it ensures the sustainability of our retirement system, and it reduces the amount of money that needed to be allocated into the funds this year. So we certainly are trying to do our part to continue to help with this problem, while at the same time trying to address the issues that we face. So I would like to thank the Governor and the Commissioner. I have nothing further.
Thank you, Mike.
Thank you, Governor.